learn from it, throw it away, come back better the next time. That will be the goal tonight for UMD as the Bulldogs look for a series split at home against its in-state rival, Minnesota. Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome inside Amsoil Arena at our My9 Sports broadcast booth. I am Zach Schneider alongside Judd Medic. We'll be joined later on by Daniel Chiarelli. It was the Gophers that jumped all over the Bulldogs from the outset last night. A 4-0 lead for Minnesota after the first period. The game never really in question after that, but the Bulldogs did get some pushback in what ended as a 7-5 Minnesota win.
Yeah, it really never felt like UMD was in that game after that awful first period they have, and they dug themselves such a big hole, and just the way the game went, even though they clawed back to within a couple goals at a couple of points of the game, you never really felt like they had a chance to win. It was all Minnesota Gophers last night, right from the get-go, and that was the key. They took over the game. It was all them in the first period, and it was just too big of a hole for UMD to get out of at that point.
Scott Sandlin said before tonight's game that he hoped that first period, just an anomaly with his young group. He spoke earlier tonight with our Daniel Chiarelli.
That's right, guys. Coach, you've been stressing all week a level of pushback from your team, especially after last series. After yesterday's game, your team won after the second 40 minutes, 5-3. What do you expect in terms of pushback in today's game?
Well, hopefully we can build off that. Obviously, we got to be a better hockey team right from the drop of the puck, so we've got to make sure we're engaged and we're playing the game we need to play. I thought we came out. I don't think we weren't ready to play, but we came out pretty flat and didn't skate, and that's not a good recipe against that team, and certainly compounded that with some mistakes. But we just got to be ready. Our guys know, today's a new day, and we got to get back at it and be better in some areas, and hopefully every guy in that room's buying into that, and everybody plays better.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Coach. Good luck tonight. Guys?
To tonight's keys to the game, brought to you by Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC. First, Judd, for the visitors, Minnesota.
Well, the pace of the game, that's a big thing for Minnesota. They want to set that pace. They want to play an up-tempo style, much like they did last night, get UMD back on their heels, win those one-on-one battles like they did all last night, and set it early and play fast. Second, do the little things. If this team truly wants to take the next step, there's a lot of hype about this Minnesota Gopher team this year, but if they truly want to take that next step, they have to learn to do the little things. And I'm talking about blocking shots, getting pucks out of the zone, winning faceoffs, all the little things that maybe don't show up on a stat sheet, but they get noticed in the win column.
Of course, UMD will try to have a better start than it had last night, but other than that, the keys to the game for the Bulldogs.
Well, other than the obvious, a better first period, but they need to play a heavier game, meaning they need to take away time and space. They need to get in the way. They need to obstruct the high-powered offense of this Gopher team and finish their checks. Just make contact, initiate that contact, and make it hard on the Gophers to generate any of the offense like they did last night. And second, they gave up way too many odd-man rushes, Zach. Breakaways, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, you name it. Somehow, Minnesota got behind UMD all night long, had those odd-man rushes, and they're just too good. They capitalized on them, and they certainly cannot afford to do that again tonight.
One thing working in UMD's favor here again tonight, the home crowd advantage. Minnesota was able to take the crowd out of it, of course, very early in last night's series opener. Can UMD keep this partisan Amsoil Arena crowd excited for much longer in tonight's finale? We will find out. We'll drop the puck, the Bulldogs and the Gophers, right after this, coming up on My9 Sports. Tonight's game available on My9 Sports and NCHC TV. It's produced by Bulldog Productions, brought to you with the support of Essentia Health and Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC. The starting goaltenders tonight, a change from Minnesota. They turn to the graduate transfer from Penn State, Liam Souliere. 0 for 1 in a Gophers uniform, but for his career, a 2.94 goals against average, 897 save percentage with the Nittany Lions. UMD will turn again to the Slovakian freshman Adam Gajan. He made 42 saves, several of them spectacular. It could have been a lot more than 7 that UMD allowed. He'll get the start again for UMD. Game number 2, Bulldogs and Gophers. Thanks for being with us. From wherever you are, we are underway in Duluth. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic will be with you all night. UMD fans won't need reminding how the first period went last night. The home team expecting a much better start here on Saturday night in their home building. Little shuffle of the lines for Scott Sandelin. The only change is Luke Bast out on the defensive end, Riley Bodnerchuk in, but other than that, really all the lines and pairings are a little bit different as Sandelin and his staff still search for the right combinations. Gallatin has it at the point. Across for Dubinsky. Fires wide of the goal. Plants tries to wheel one from a sharp angle. Goes to the far side, Dubinsky. Meanwhile, for Bob Motzko's Gophers, the only change is John Middlestat in for August Falloon. Why change what works? If you're Minnesota, Loney tries to center. Knocked away by Cal Thomas and picked up by the Gophers. They'll skate to center. This is Jimmy Clark, the Minnesota Wild draft pick. Took a weird hop off the boards and right out in front. Luckily, Aiden Dubinsky there for UMD.
Well, we saw a couple of those weird bounces last night that actually resulted in goals, bouncing to an opportunistic area, but that one just UMD able to escape.
Paulson to Snuggerud out in front, bouncing puck top of the crease. And UMD will clear away. Dubinsky off the glass and out to center.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see the first 5 minutes of this hockey game, how UMD comes out and responds. Already not so bad, a lot better than last night, obviously. They just want to keep things simple and get pucks deep and get physical, like I talked about. Play a little bit of a heavier game today.
Back on the attack is Minnesota along the near side boards. Hendrickson has it taken away. Loney gives it to Cal Arnott. He chips it into the Minnesota zone. Giving chase is Molinar. Kester, one of the Gophers' captains, moves it up the far wall. Betchin blew a tire, but still controls for UMD. Arnott pushed to the boards by Kester. It comes to the point. Cleaver has it. Puts one toward the front of the net. It's blocked off and out to center ice by Minnesota.
Well, we have Kleber and Hansen on the ice for UMD. We talked about it, Zach. Probably UMD's best pairing last night.
Moore walks in. Blocker save made by Guyon 2.5 minutes in, and he's already on the board with another good save for UMD.
Well, the same way Moore scored last night. Very similar shot there.
Luke Middlestat, a long shot off the end boards. Another good save by Guyon. The rebound whacked at by Zemer. 3 good saves in that sequence for the UMD freshman. Broken stick now for UMD. Centering pass is knocked away by a sprawling Hansen. He battles again in the corner and will wrap it around all the way down. Smart play by Hansen as Matthew Perkins had broken his stick earlier in the shift.
Yeah, that's okay there. You'll take an icing, obviously. UMD, one thing they did do yesterday is they won more faceoffs than the Gophers. They were dominant in the faceoff circle. So in that scenario there, you're running around a bit. Hansen just fires it all the way down. But you can see here a scramble in front guy, and he's so square, so good with his angles and his skating. He's an excellent skater. So his edge work, and you can see right there him push across, that little shuffle move. I mean, those are all these things these guys work on, and Guyon's as good as I've ever seen, to be honest, here at UMD. Of all the great goalies that have come through, he might be the best we've seen so far.
That is high praise, because there have been some good ones. Betchin, far boards, into the boards by Hughlin. Comes back to the point. Long shot, blocker save Guyon. That came from Whipple, the Detroit Red Wings prospect. Now in the near side corner, Minnesota still controls. Tried to feed Whipple at the point, missed him. And UMD will get a wholesale line change. 3.5 minutes in, the shot's 3-0 Minnesota. Mangini delivers a hit in the offensive zone to Whipple. Minnesota controls the puck. Hughlin tried a toe drag on the far side. That was defended and now held at the point. Chesley disrupted Mangini, who was trying to get on his horse through the neutral zone.
Well, we need to see more of that out of 26 Mangini. We saw a lot of that last year in his freshman campaign. He was kind of a tone changer, if you will, where he would go out and have a shift like this where he's physical and he knocks some people over. He's not a big guy, but he's very, very athletic. He's built. I know he spends a lot of time in the gym, and it's noticeable just with his stature, and you can see when he makes plays like that, he's always a smaller guy going into those battles, but he certainly comes out on top a lot, and he needs to play that way, heavy.
When UMD had some success in last night's game, it really often followed the physical play. It seems UMD maybe the more comfortable of the teams playing that heavy physical style. Minnesota wants to have space on the ice. They want to get it to their skilled guys. That's what led to success for UMD.
Yeah, they need to slow that down. And it's the time and space, really. It's not about big hits and blowing guys up. You don't need to make those huge kind of highlight hits all the time, but just taking away time and space, getting in the way, slowing down, impeding, initiating contact, all those little things. That's what matters.
Almost a takeaway there in the offensive zone for Chagave. He had a goal in the game last night for UMD. Now through center ice, this is Clark again for Minnesota. Leaves it for Wood, the transfer from UConn. He moves to the middle. UMD's defense collapses top of the crease, clears it to the far corner. Now Thomas at the point. Dubinsky and one of the Gophers still tied up behind the net. Shoveled in on Guyon, who directs it to the far corner. Shagabe at center. He's pushed to the ice. Puck taken away, and Dubinsky will chase. The Gophers changing. 5 minutes gone in a scoreless opening period.
Well, UMD will roll their lines with a couple different combinations tonight, but that last line with James, Shagabe, and Plant certainly need to create some offense, and they want to spend more time in the offensive zone, not in their own zone like they did on that last show.
Loney in on the forecheck here for UMD, creates the turnover. Hansen, a long shot, fought off by Soulier. I think it got through to the goaltender. A couple bodies in front for UMD. Kester moves it up the far boards and out to center ice. Rink-wide pass, no good, and Molinar back on the attack. Feeds Loney, tries to center, got as far as Gruba, who clears it to the far boards for Minnesota. Lamb dumps it in. They'll wave the icing off. Kleber forced to play it for UMD rather. Hansen up the far boards, and Betchen has it at neutral ice. Turnover there as two of the Bulldogs ran into each other. Now another takeaway, and Perkins will send it in deep for UMD. Luke Middlestat, a bouncing puck all the way down, and that'll be icing on Minnesota.
Well, we see the line of Perkins, Callum Arnott, and Blake Betchen. Arnott, 25, the freshman for UMD, out centering this line. We talked a lot about him last night as maybe UMD's best forward. Just a really smart hockey player. And Matthew Perkins obviously has the ability to put the puck in the net too. So I'd like to see some offense from these guys tonight as well.
Lamb forces it out to neutral. Now Minnesota controls. Chesley. They'll dump it to the far corner. Pierce is back to play it for UMD. Pearson, Pionk, the old Hermantown teammates paired together tonight for Scott Sandlin's Bulldogs. Pionk moved it ahead. It's turned over. Zemer going to the middle. Shot back the other way. That came from Moore. Guyon makes the stop for UMD, and Perkins now races through center ice. Betchen to Arnott. Tried to feed Perkins on the far side. It's taken away by Minnesota. End to end we go in the opening period. Chesley fires one from long range, and Guyon continues his strong start for UMD.
Well, for the Gophers there, that opportunity for Moore, I don't think he was ready from that. Zemer gave him a little backhand pass here on a little give and go. You'll see right here. Throws it back to him. It wasn't Moore, excuse me. He's a left-handed shot. I couldn't tell who that was on the give and go play there, but that's, he gives it and then he doesn't really expect it back, but if he's ready for it right there, I mean, it was a good back-checking play by UMD, but he's maybe a little bit more ready expecting that puck. And then UMD comes back the other way with an opportunity on a 3-on-2 themselves.
Looking at it live action, I thought Guyon's stick got to it. It just missed Zemer on the return pass. Gallatin now moves it to Mangini, and he enters the zone. Long shot, Soulier the save. Comes to Fisher in the corner. Bettens. He goes from the so-called first line to the fourth line. Hopefully frees him up a bit to be a little bit more physical, as this line has a good shift. Ends in a shot on goal for Owen Gallatin. Soulier the save, and we will step aside. A much better start for the Bulldogs. Still scoreless here on My 9 Sports. Just over 7 minutes gone. Scoreless first period here for the Gophers and the Bulldogs. A much better open to this game than last night for the home team UMD.
No question about it. 6-4 shots on goal for Minnesota. Each team's had a couple chances, but again, UMD really hasn't given up those odd man rushes and those opportunities that they did last night. They're playing a lot smarter game.
This is Dominic James in the far corner. Tried to feed the center. It was deflected to the near boards by Minnesota. Shagabe fights for it along that near side. Gallatin steps up to pinch. It comes to Shagabe. He feeds James to the backhand. Soulier with a great save for Minnesota. His best of the night thus far. Wood the other way on the backhand, directed to the far corner. Tries to center. Knocked away by Gallatin. Middlestat through the top of the crease area. Shagabe will collect it. Tried to move it to James in the middle. But instead, we'll have to retreat to Dubinsky. Tipped into the zone by Zam Plant. Good look in front of the goal for the UMD captain on that last shift.
Well, it was a great play by Shagabe to recognize on that turnover. It was Gallatin who did a nice job standing strong in the blue line, and James down low was open, and they made a nice play.
Lamb centers. It was deflected, almost fell right into the tape of the secondary Gophers attacker. UMD clears it out to neutral. Kleber will shoot it in for the Bulldogs. Soulier out to play the puck behind his own goal. It comes back to the near side. Kleber will engage deep in the offensive zone for UMD. If Cal Arnott was UMD's best forward last night, Adam Kleber perhaps their best defenseman.
Well, it's exciting when you have a freshman playing that well early on in the year. Those two obviously freshmen, and maybe not a great sign when freshmen are your best players, but they certainly were very, very strong last night, those two.
Long shot from Gruba is gloved and held by Guyon. Let's go down between the benches to Daniel.
That's right, guys. Don't have to remind Bulldogs fans about that first period yesterday where the Gophers had 4 goals and the Bulldogs only mustered 4 shots. Captain Dominic James put it best when he said our team simply got punched in the mouth. The Gophers stole the game the Bulldogs wanted to play, had the Bulldogs on their heels, and they never recovered. The Gophers were just 6-6 last season when not scoring the first goal, so look for the Bulldogs to get that first goal tonight and try to play with the lead. Guys?
Certainly does change things when you feel like you're chasing a game early, especially, we talked about it, especially against a team like Minnesota that can keep attacking in waves. A lead would do wonders for UMD here on Saturday night. Minnesota wins this faceoff. Chesley moves it across. Thomas, long shot off the end boards. Pierce does well to step up along the near side of the cage. Zemer gets it back on the return pass. Tried to fire. It comes to Moore. He takes a hit from Betchen. Center. Zemer scores. One-timer. Brody Zemer, his second of the weekend. 1-0 Minnesota.
Well, this all starts with an offensive zone faceoff, and Minnesota does a nice job getting puck possession, hunting that puck down, and it's Oliver Moore that makes just a phenomenal play here. You can see he picks it up. He protects that puck, creates space, and then he recognizes Zemer, who's ready in front, and UMD's got to do a better job recognizing this Zemer on the back door. You'll see he's wide open, and Pierce, I believe, or Dubinsky, who's kind of got caught watching the puck there and didn't recognize that there was a player wide open behind him.
Second straight night that the Buffalo Sabres draft pick, Brody Zemer, has opened the scoring for Minnesota. It opened the floodgates last night. The home team hoping that doesn't happen again as we approach the halfway point of this opening period. To the far boards it goes. Now in behind the goal for UMD. Gallatin controls there, bothered by Huglin. Nevers has it. Back to the point, Rinzel. He walks in, evades one defender. Long shot swallowed up by Guyon, and he gets the whistle for UMD.
Well, right back to work. The Gophers in the offensive zone. Rinzel does a nice job here. Watch, they go low to high. Watch this little play here where he just opens his body up, pulls the puck, protects it, changes the angle. I mean, it's like a Cale Makar type of move that he's made so popular in the last couple years, but so hard to defend. Rinzel's got such a good long reach. Talked a lot about him last night. First round draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. And little things right there that he does so well.
Chipped out to neutral here by UMD after they win the face-off. Kleber now forced back into his own zone. He feeds his partner Hansen. Indirect off of James. I don't know if he got a touch. He did not. And an icing called on UMD with 9.5 minutes to go here in the opening period.
Well, still obviously a lot of time left, just over the halfway point of this first period, and it's been a fairly even period so far. Maybe a little bit more puck possession time for the guys in the dark jerseys tonight, but it's an important couple of shifts here after giving up that goal for UMD to push back and change the momentum a little bit, get some offensive zone time.
Yeah, last night when Minnesota scored its first one, it just felt like mistake after mistake after mistake for UMD. They never really got on the right foot until after the first intermission. And by that point, it was almost too late. Shagabe will chip it in. Middlestat chases to the corner, moves it ahead for Wood. They've got numbers as they come through neutral. Wood into the UMD zone. Wood to the middle, fires high on the stick side of Guyon. One-touch pass to the near side. Hansen will skate to the red line, dump it in for UMD. It took another weird carom by the Zamboni doors, and Soulier had to be wise to that for Minnesota. That's 2 weird bounces already. Lamb tries to knife through a couple UMD defenders. Puck controlled by Jack Smith for the Bulldogs. Out to center ice it comes, bounces there. Snuggerud whacks at it, can't control. Smith takes a big hit, gets the puck in the zone for UMD, and a penalty coming as Loney was tripped up. Delayed call on Minnesota. Pierce a drive, saved by Soulier. Pionk in the corner for Loney. Back to the point, Smith. 6-on-5, delayed call on the Gophers. Arnott towards the middle. Denied back to the far boards. It comes to Pierce. To Pionk, near point. Long shot. Soulier the save, and the rebound touched up by Minnesota. UMD will get the game's first power play.
Well, that was a nice job by UMD to hang on to that puck in the offensive zone, get that 6th attacker out there and get a little bit of extra time on a odd man advantage there. They move it around, and Soulier does a nice job of making sure nothing got by him there as he made a couple of saves. But good puck movement by UMD as they'll get a chance to go to the power play there. You can see that kind of broken play that happens at the blue line. There's the trip on Carter Loney as he carried that puck on the line, and Paulson, big Swede centerman who scored his first collegiate goal last night, goes off to serve 2 minutes or less here.
UMD 1 for 2 with the man advantage last night. This their first Minnesota power play of the game. Minnesota wins the draw and gets the early clear. 8:15 to go in the first as UMD with the man advantage tries to draw level with the visiting Golden Gophers. Perkins across the line will chip to himself in the corner. Comes to Betchin. Near side half boards. UMD will get set up. 30 seconds gone in the power play. Dubinsky has it along the near wall. Hansen, middle point, long shot. Deflected up to the high netting by Minnesota.
Well, just a simple play there. Hansen walks it to the middle of the ice, and he thought he had a lane with traffic in front, throws it there, but it unfortunately hits a stick. Maybe like to see UMD play catch a little bit more to get those penalty killers for the Gophers moving a little bit and open up a little bit more space.
Top unit over the boards for UMD. Still 1:26 to go on this power play. They lose the draw. It's wrapped around the near boards and out to center ice. Look out. Here's Lamb shorthanded for Minnesota. Tried to toe drag around Pionk, who collects the puck now for UMD. 7.5 minutes to go in the period. 1:15 in the power play. Plant to the far side. Shagabe bangs it in behind the goal. Off the end boards it comes. James battles for it there with Lamb. Lamb wins that battle of 17s and clears for Minnesota.
Yeah, a little bit more of a strategic dump there by Shagabe. Even when you dump the puck, you have to have a little bit of a purpose there. That's something he'll learn over the course of the year playing at this high of a level. Don't just dump it for the sake of dumping it. It's got to be with a purpose where you know you have somebody going to get it on a retrieval.
3 Bulldogs in the far corner. They wrap it around the board. Still 35 seconds to go. Gallatin to Shagabe. Those two switch spots. Gallatin, Pionk, James, top of the far circle. Pionk, long shot. That's blocked and cleared by Minnesota. And Huglin at the end of a shift. Otherwise, he might have been off to the races.
Again, another bad decision on that shot there from Pionk. Just really no movement. The Gopher player standing right there in front of him, and it's just not a great time to shoot that puck.
Dubinsky has it for UMD. 2 goals in the loss last night. He feeds the point. It's Pierce. Long shot. Soulier the save. Rebound cleared away by Minnesota. We're back to 5-on-5, and this will be an icing on the Gophers, but they kill the game's first penalty.
Well, they do a nice job keeping the Bulldogs to the outside. Kind of a passive penalty kill. They're just, again, taking away the middle of the ice, taking away lanes. You can see they have 4 dark jerseys right in that middle area, and they're just trying to block shots and tie up sticks, and that's what they did there. Even on that last one where the puck did get through, the Gopher defensemen and the forwards come back to tie up sticks, and it's an easy clear for them.
Smith wins the face-off for UMD, but whistles as somebody started early. And we'll do it again to the right of Liam Soulier. Made a couple good saves in this opening period, just his second start in a Minnesota uniform. He makes another one there. Sharp angle shot from Molinar, and we will step aside. Brody Zemer has the Gophers up 1-0 midway through the first period. We'll be back with more on My 9 Sports. Hey, Bulldog fans, it's time to gear up for the hockey season with UMD stores. Now through Monday, you can save on men's replica jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, blankets, and much more. Shop the campus store on Kirby Drive or online, anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. Penalty off the face-off as Loney was tripped up. And UMD will get the game's second power play. The first one unsuccessful, they'll get another chance.
Well, it's another trip drawn by Loney for the Bulldogs. Is just UMD loses the face-off here, and Thomas is the one who just kind of impedes Loney as he sells it nicely here. You'll see on the bottom of your left of your screen here. I mean, he certainly kind of sticks his leg out and gives him a shot.
So the second Minnesota power play of the game for UMD. Not much happening on the first one. Minnesota's penalty kill kept him to the outside, as you said.
Well, they got to do a better job moving the puck and getting the Gophers moving around a little bit. It's easy to defend when you just zip the puck around the perimeter. They got to try to penetrate the middle of that box area with some plays, or at least get the Gophers out of position so they can get their shots through.
Early clear again for the Gophers. Pionk will start from his own zone. He drops it off for the captain, James. He races across the line, picks it up in the corner, tries to help it in behind the net. Plant to Shagabay on the far side. He's pressured immediately on the far boards, and the clear gets only as far as Pionk. He holds for UMD. James, Pionk, Gallatin across for James. One-timer, he fanned on it. Good look there for UMD's captain, his second of the game so far. He's got the puck now at the far side. 45 seconds gone in the power play. Gallatin to Pionk. Across for James. One-timer again. This time missed the net. And it goes off the boards out to center ice. Pionk will collect. Minnesota trying to change. UMD back on the attack and in the offensive zone. Zamplant, his younger brother Max, out with an upper body injury. Expected back in about a month for UMD. Pionk across for James. Top unit still out there for the Bulldogs. 45 seconds to go. Gallatin, he walks in, a shot blocked. And out to center, that was Ryan Chesley, another of the Gophers' captains. Big block shot as Plant is back on the attack. Gallatin back for Plant, he can't get a stick to it. Shagabay tries to feed Plant. He can't handle it, and Middlestat will clear for Minnesota.
Well, some better looks on this power play. Again, they have Dominic James on his off wing there for a one-timer opportunity. A couple times they got it through to him, making the goaltender move from his right to his left. At least there's movement there. Nothing to show for it so far with just 7 seconds left, but some better opportunities.
Minnesota's got the puck. Thomas will be released. We're back to 5-on-5. This is John Middlestat. He tries to cut to the net, and Guyon makes the save. Good save again for UMD's freshman. Let's go down once more to Daniel.
All right, guys, as you just saw Adam Guyon making a save right there. Coming up at our first intermission, I got the privilege to sit down with all three of UMD's goaltenders, Adam, Clayton Knapp, and Zach Sandy, to talk about their journey so far, what brought the two freshmen here to Duluth, who their goaltender role models are, and plenty more. All of that coming up at our first intermission break. Guys?
Yeah, thanks very much, Daniel. We saw Zach Sandy in the season opener against Bemidji State. We've yet to see Clayton Knapp, the other freshman for UMD, in any game action. Been mostly Adam Guyon, as we would expect. He came in so highly touted, and really he's delivered this series against Minnesota.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, it's probably going to be his net until otherwise proven guilty, I guess, would be the scenario.
Hansen tries to pinch down there for UMD. Minnesota clears it out to neutral. Rinzel has it, tries to center for Snuggerud. Hansen does a great job to tie him up for UMD. Now Hansen wins the puck back in the corner. He'll flip off the glass and out to center ice.
Great job by Hansen there to tie that stick up on the back check. That's what it's all about there.
3:30 to go in the opening period. Shots 14-10, a much more competitive period. UMD buoyed a bit by the 2 power play chances, but much better than a 4-0 start in the opening 20 minutes one night ago. Arnott tried to feed the point. Brody Lamb there for Minnesota. He forces it out to center ice. The Gophers are changing. Gallatin has numbers if he hurries. Tries to center, looking for Arnott. Couldn't get a stick free. Betchen and Arnott try to force the turnover on that far side circle. Minnesota will go off the boards, out to center. Dubinsky back the other way for UMD. Nobody can really get a handle on the bouncing puck. Now Kurth does, feeds Wood. Wood back to Kurth to the forehand, he scores! Pretty passing from Minnesota. Connor Kurth finishes the job, it's 2-0.
Well, you can see how good these guys are in transition. Again, another neutral zone turnover, and immediately it's back the other way and an odd man rush. You'll see UMD turns the puck over right there, and they just pounce on that. Nice play by Wood. Shows a little patient. He's normally a shooter, but you can see there he just kind of puts it to an area there. And a great play on that 2-on-1. But again, it's all about the neutral zone turnovers will kill you. And you play against a team like this, they're going to pounce all over it and make a play off of it. And that's exactly what happened there. The Pucks have to get in deep.
Kurth, the Tampa Bay Lightning draft pick, gets his first of the weekend, 4th of the year. And Matthew Wood continues to have an impact on this series. You said it last night, probably the top transfer in college hockey. Comes to Minnesota after a really successful career at UConn. He had a goal and an assist last night. He's on the score sheet again tonight. Two and a half minutes to play, opening period. 2-0 Minnesota now. Moore races across the UMD line, has his pocket pick. Shagabe the other way. Plant feeds it to James. He's knocked off the puck by Thomas. Shagabe picks it up, tried to move it to the far side. James feeds the point. Pierce tried a long shot. It was deflected to the near side corner. Plant to Shagabe to center, and James couldn't get a shot away for UMD. Zemer chips it behind the Bulldogs defense. Moore the first one there on the forecheck. Pionk will collect as both teams are changing with 1:45 to play in the period. Pierce shoots it in on goal. Soulier moves the puck for Minnesota. Through center ice, this is Nevers across the line, leaves for Rinzel. He walks in and fires one high. Might have got deflected up out of play.
Well, once again, UMD gets the puck in deep there, but they're unable to establish that forecheck. And give the Gophers credit. They've made 1 or 2 breakout passes tonight that beat 2 to 3 UMD forwards with 1 pass, and that's unacceptable. UMD's got to get above the puck a little bit better on that forecheck and play downhill, meaning they can't be chasing the puck back up their way. They need to be responsible and keep that third guy a little bit higher, so when that Gopher defenseman makes the breakout pass, they can then have that third forward jump that play on the wall and seal it.
Dumped in here by UMD. Mangini, first to arrive on the forecheck for the Bulldogs. He's got the puck in the near side corner. Fisher battles with Middlestat. Hughlin ends up with the puck. This is John Middlestat into the Bulldog zone. John and Luke, of course, the younger brothers of Casey Middlestat, who just last night scored his 200th career NHL point. Having a very successful NHL career following a good career here in the maroon and gold for Minnesota.
How about Neil Pionk last night as well with his biggest
Now
game.
a centering pass. Lamb right down Main Street. Guy on a big save for UMD. It comes back to the point. Kester, long shot from Middlestat. That hit traffic in front. It actually might have caught Hughlin up high as the whistles go with 32.8 to play on the clock. And actually they'll call a penalty. I thought it might have caught Hughlin up high, but instead a penalty to UMD. And Minnesota will get its first chance on the power play.
Well, you'll see here the puck goes back to the point here for this shot right initially, but then again it comes up high there. They go D to D. The shot, we kind of missed it there, but there's 28 in front. When that shot comes through, if we roll it from here, guys, Watch Dubinsky right there, kind of pitchfork and a high stick and a interference, and name about 3 different penalties they could have called there on it, but nonetheless, he's headed to the box.
Minnesota 1 for 3 with the advantage in last night's game. Their first chance with the power play. If nothing happens in 33 seconds, it'll carry over to the start of the second period, and a chance for Minnesota to make it a 3-goal lead. Last night it was 4 after 1 period. Already 2-0 Gophers, and a chance to add more. Paulson will get chased from the face-off circle after James was kicked out for UMD. So the 2 wingers take the draw. UMD wins it, and James gets the clear.
Well, that was a big face-off win and a clear there with just 23 seconds left. One more rush here for the Gophers, but UMD did not want to let them set up and establish something in the 30 seconds left on this power play and in the period here.
And a penalty coming to Minnesota as Rinzel and James got tied up at neutral. They'll get Rinzel for interference, and that'll nuke the remainder of that Minnesota power play. 11.2 to go in the period.
Well, not a good penalty. We'll have to take another look at this as Rinzel, the defenseman, kind of runs a little bit of a pick play. He's basically standing in the middle of the ice. I'm not sure I agree with that penalty. His feet were planted. It's like a moving pick violation, but he looked like he was pretty stationary there, and James did a nice job. You'll see here right at center ice almost. And right there, I mean, there's got to be some responsibility on James to avoid that. So I'm going to have to side with Rinzel on this one and say it probably shouldn't have been a penalty, but we'll go 4-on-4 for 10 seconds here.
UMD wins the faceoff. Pierce walks to the middle, fires one in, he scores! No, it didn't cross the line. Oh, no. The official signals no. The student section thought it did.
Ooh, that one is going to sting because that puck certainly made it through and across the goal line, but the whistle had just blown. We'll watch here. Pierce with the shot. We can't really, I mean, who blows the whistle here? I mean, we'll get a really good look here. At it. Oh my, oh.
I don't know that crossed.
Well, yeah, right, but are they saying the whistle went? Yeah, it's hard to say. There'll be some overhead views, I'm sure, that they'll get to look at.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a challengeable play with the whistle. I also don't know that it crossed the line, so it might not make any difference.
No, I don't think.
But it'll for sure light a fire under this Amsoil Arena crowd. Final 8 seconds of the period. It comes to Pierce. Far side Gallatin. He fires, he scores! Owen Gallatin. The Bulldogs are on the board. It's 2-1.
Well, with 3.4 seconds left, a pretty much exact play. They win the faceoff once again. And you'll see here, Pierce gets it back, but instead of shooting this one, he actually moves it over to Gallatin, and he rips a one-timer. That hits the back crossbar and down. What a great shot by Gallatin, but man, is that a big goal to get here with 3 seconds left in the period. And that 4-on-4 pays dividends here for UMD.
Gallatin's first goal of the year. He had a career-high 7 goals, 23 assists a year ago. That's a big, big goal for UMD. They will head to the locker room down just 1. 2-1 the score through 20 minutes. It's always entertaining when you get Minnesota and UMD. We'll take a break, bring you back. The Super One Foods intermission report starts right after this on My 9 Sports. Wild sequence at the end of the first period. UMD gets on the board. It's 2-1 Minnesota leading, but hockey a game of momentum, Judd. And after that goal disallowed, the maybe would-be goal disallowed because of the early whistle, just seconds later, Owen Gallatin gets a big one for the Bulldogs.
Well, yeah, crazy sequence. And kind of a mirror play that we thought we might have saw a goal a few seconds earlier, but the puck didn't look like it crossed the line, so they redid it. and they get it on the second attempt with just 3 seconds left. So what an opportunity to get back in this hockey game for UMD.
Minnesota gets the first goal just as they did last night, but it doesn't turn into 4 in the opening period. They get that 2-0 lead, but now UMD battles back. They'll get a power play to start the second period. Your thoughts on the progression from last night to tonight for the home team?
Yeah, it was better, certainly better. The scoreboard looks better, and their play was better, which is the big thing. But, a couple of mistakes they made, and Minnesota was able to capitalize it. But that's the type of team they are. They're very opportunistic. Again, a neutral zone turnover that they spring a 2-on-1 the other way, and they execute. That was the second goal. But that's a big goal to end this period here for UMD, and they need to stay disciplined. UMD had a couple power plays. They got to talk about that a little bit. If they get some more opportunities, they certainly would love to cash in on their power play opportunities.
Owen Gallatin's goal, if nothing else, keeps the crowd engaged as we head into the second period as well here in Duluth. You will hear from the goal scorer right after this as the Super One Foods intermission report continues on My9 Sports.
Pretty close, Henry. One more shot.
Welcome back to Bulldogs hockey. Bulldogs trailing 2-1 entering the second period. I'm joined now by defenseman Owen Gallatin. Gally, getting that goal, 3 seconds left in the first period. How big is that heading into the intermission?
Yeah, that's a huge goal there for some momentum going into the second. Great job on the draw by Zammer, and then a nice heads-up play by Joey. But, yeah, it's really big, and hopefully we can build off that the rest of the game here.
And then both teams have had power play opportunities. Just how big is special teams in a game like this where it's going to be tight towards the end?
Yeah, it's huge. We had a couple yesterday that got us inching back into it, and I think if we can keep that going today, I think we generated some good chances so far. No goals yet, but I think, we get a couple more chances. I think it'll be big for us.
And then your team came out a lot stronger in the first period compared to last night's game. What was the message in the locker room heading into this one so you guys wouldn't repeat the first period from yesterday?
Yeah, obviously, really slow start yesterday, and I think the only thing we could take away from that is to learn from it and make sure it doesn't happen again. I think we did a good job of that this time. It was a lot stronger coming out of the gates from us, so I think we answered that bell.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Good luck in the second. Guys?
Welcome back to Amsoil Arena. Second period about to get underway for UMD and Minnesota. The Gophers lead the Bulldogs 2-1 through 20 minutes here in Duluth. Shots about even, 15-14 Minnesota. Neither team with a power play goal. We will start the second period with 1 minute and 28 seconds of scheduled 4-on-4, and then a very abbreviated power play for UMD, which got a goal late in that period from Owen Gallatin to get the Bulldogs on the board, back within 1 and go into the locker room 2-1. What night and day difference that is from 2-0.
Oh, it's huge, obviously, just to chip away at that. And you never want to, I've talked about this all the time, you never want to give up a goal in the last minute of a period or the first minute of a period, because it can be such a momentum changer. And obviously to cut the lead to 1 is nice, but now you just have a little bit of momentum and confidence coming back, and you're going to get a little short power play here. It's still 4-on-4 for a good amount of time here, 1 minute 28 seconds of 4-on-4, and you get a short little power play where maybe you can get something going, but it's a nice momentum shift heading into the second period for UMD.
Teams are back on the ice ahead of the start of this second period. And let's send it down between the benches. Daniel is joined by UMD assistant coach Cody Chupp.
Thanks, Zach. Coach, just how big was that goal with 3 seconds left for the momentum of your team heading into the second?
Yeah, it was huge. Again, I thought we did a much better job of managing the puck, playing a simpler game, and that, I think, is going to be key for us, understanding that the game's going to give us opportunities when we do things right, and we're a little bit more predictable. Those short ice transitions, those turnovers in the neutral zone, those are tough to defend against any team, especially a team that transitions as well. So we got to clean that part of it up. But yeah, it's a huge momentum shift late in the period to get that goal.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Good luck in the second. Guys?
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate the time from Cody Chupp. Almost a turnover takeaway in the defensive zone. That was Aaron Pionk who got his signals crossed, and Minnesota would have had a 2-on-0 basically from the top of the circles down. We continue on. The puck in the far corner now comes back out to center ice. 4-on-4, the skill that Minnesota has. You would think that favors the Gophers with a lot more open ice.
Yeah, UMD's got kind of the type of players too in this 4-on-4 situation that they've always been successful on. So this will be exciting to watch this for another 40 seconds or so. you know, interesting, Cody Chupp, the assistant coach, talking about that transition that they need to avoid. You know, that's certainly something I touched on in that first period. That second goal was directly off that transition and a neutral zone turnover.
Snuggerud fires one from just inside the blue line. That heavy shot of Snuggerud. Now Plant to the middle, a shot, and Solier makes a save. Jack Smith right on the doorstep. Back the other way comes Minnesota. Centering pass, no one home for the Gophers, and Smith will turn it the other direction. He's got Shagabe with him. And Snuggerud fires the puck. He did it last night too, and it hits the goaltender's pads. It just makes a different sound than everybody else on the ice. 5-on-4 now, abbreviated for UMD. Kleber, a big drive from the middle point. It's swallowed up by Soulier. 16 seconds still to go on this abbreviated power play for UMD.
Yeah, Snuggerud's got a heavy shot. Watch this play here by Zam Plant. It's such a smart hockey play. It's a 2-on-2, right? They come across the line. In this situation, what you're trying to do is isolate one of the defensemen to make it a 2-on-1. You're trying to outnumber. So you can see Zam pulls the puck to the middle of the ice, brings the defenseman with him, and then throws it back to that soft spot where his teammate was headed there. I mean, just such a smart hockey play by Plant.
Final 10 seconds of this short power play for the Bulldogs. Kleber into the circle. Now the corner for Kleber. Buffalo Sabres draft pick. We're back to 5-on-5 as Rinzel is released. Gallatin has it. Arnott below the goal line. Back to Gallatin. He feeds Kleber at the point. Couldn't control it in his skates, and back to center it comes.
Yeah, unfortunate there. UMD had nice possession there. That little short power play that they weren't able to get a shot off, but
Moore races through center. He's all alone. Fires one wide on the glove side from the sharp angle on the boards. They tried to fire it back. It's blocked by Arnott out to center ice. Middlestat ahead for Hendrickson at the blue line. He delays. Long shot wide of the goal. Smith will pick it up on the far boards and flip to center. Gruba knocks it down for Minnesota, and back into the UMD zone it goes. 2.5 minutes gone here in the second period. We're through the specialty teams, at least to start. 5-on-5, we continue. This is Smith, defended by Luke Middlestat. Middlestat gets the takeaway. It comes back to Loney, though. Below the goal line, tries to center. One-timer for Molinar, wide of the goal. Gruba will chase it to the far side corner. Loney, I've liked his game so far tonight for UMD. A big hit behind the net for Molinar. Actually, this entire line for UMD has been pretty good.
Yeah, they've certainly been better. Jack Smith, much better tonight. Had a kind of a costly turnover last night and wasn't his best last night. He's been good so far this year. Last night was not a strong game for him, but tonight he's been much better, and that whole line has been, like you said, Zach.
Numbers for Minnesota the other way. Huglin defended by Pionk. Good job by Pionk to direct him to the far boards as a 3-on-2 from the blue line in. Back to the point, Rinzel. Block shot, Molinar. And UMD gets a bit of a reprieve. Kester will shoot it in again for the Gophers.
Once again, second period, a tough, long change for each of these teams. So you can see there, Molinar wanted to get off the ice, but he had too far to travel. Now he's going to get a chance, but after blocking that shot, so keep an eye on these long changes here in the second period.
Rinzel floats it ahead for John Middlestat. Pionk defends him on the far wall. Shoves it ahead for Mangini, and now it's James. Skates away from one defender. James waiting for trailers. Defended by Kester along the far corner. Dubinsky at the point. Pierce. Down low, it's Mangini. Tried to spin one toward the middle. It comes to Bettens. He fires right into the chest of Liam Soulier. And a whistle, face-off coming in the Minnesota zone. You take a look there at some other scores around the NCHC. All non-conference play at this point in the year. North Dakota, a big comeback win against Minnesota State. 3 third-period goals for the Fighting Hawks. That's another big opponent that we'll see in about a month here at Amsoil Arena.
St. Cloud, Michigan, that's a fun one. No score there.
Michigan got a shutout win of the Huskies over the Huskies in last night's opener. Nearly 5 minutes gone here, middle period. Still a 2-1 Minnesota advantage. Far side taken away by Gallatin for UMD. Thomas has it. He just shoots it back in behind the goal. A guy on. Wood, the first one there in the far corner. Gets some help from Clark. Back to the point. Chesley shoots it off the side of the cage, and Guyon had to be sharp as that was Kurth, who's already got a goal tonight. Almost Johnny on the spot for Minnesota.
Yeah, nice play by Chesley. You'll see the puck gets up the wall here, and he throws this on purpose short side wide there. So it takes that carom off the National Bank sign and Subway, and it bounces right in front to the player standing in front, like you said, Zach. And when you don't have a direct shooting lane to the net, it's never a bad idea just to throw it off that end wall and look for that carom.
Cleaver controls off the defensive draw for UMD. Back at his defensive line now. Cleaver will give chase for the Bulldogs once more. Tried to feed it in behind. It's taken away by Paulson. He's pinned to the end boards by a couple UMD defenders. Hansen and Cleaver, the two freshman defensemen for UMD. They dig it free. Luke Middlestat down the wall, tried to fire. It was blocked by Cleaver. To the far side, Smith bangs it out to center for the Bulldogs. Snuggerud has it at center ice. Delays inside. What a pass by Snuggerud. The puck behind Guyon. And a great save from the UMD freshman. Snuggerud to the far side. It was Paulson. And a great save from Adam Guyon.
Well, Snuggerud makes a great play on the entry zone into the offensive zone here. A little delay, and he throws it across to the weak side of the ice. That's a kind of a set offensive zone entry type of play. You have a guy going to the net, and then you have a guy out wide on that far side, the weak side, that you're trying to isolate and kind of get lost. Like we talked about getting lost a little bit last night. You can see Paulson just kind of in a great little soft spot there, and Snuggerud makes a heck of a pass there through the middle of the ice.
Talked about Jimmy Snuggerud a lot, all Big Ten last year. Of course, the first-round draft pick. But he hasn't scored a goal yet in this weekend series. He's affected the game in a lot of ways, though. Had an assist in last night's win for the Gophers. Pionk moves it ahead now. This is Zam Plant. He'll just flip it in, trying to catch Shagabe, who had delayed around the blue line. He shoots it around to the far side. Pionk races to hold the point. James, he knifes through the defense to the high point. Floats one down for Pierce in the corner. Shoots it in behind the goal. Moore helps it along. Plant can't control for UMD. Good pinch there for Pionk, but the puck up over the glass, out of play.
Yeah, better shift there for this line. They get it in deep on that little dump plays. Zam Plant throws it in that cross ice area where Shagabe unfortunately had to stop at the line, but they're able to still retrieve it with a couple of good pinches sealing the wall, and they get it back in there, and now they get an offensive zone faceoff out of it.
Perkins will draw against Huglin to the right of Soulier. Bulldogs were really good in the faceoff circle, as we mentioned in the opening period. It was 55-45 Gophers in the circle in that opening period. They win that draw. They flip it the length of the ice. Dubinsky is chased by John Middlestat to the far corner. Betchin off the wall. He gets it to Arnott. 2-on-2 as they cross the line. It comes to Perkins. He fires. Shoulder save made by Soulier. He fights that one off the stick of Matthew Perkins.
Well, a much cleaner break out there by UMD. Arnott does a nice job getting below the puck for support here. He's able to carry the puck up the ice. Makes a nice move there, right? Puck's support by Perkins. It pops over to him, and he gets a good shot on goal.
Arnott and Huglin now in the face-off circle. Minnesota wins it, but they chip it too far. That'll be icing, and we'll do it again. The shots now dead even at 18 apiece. Minnesota's still leading 2-1 on the scoreboard.
Well, UMD with the last change, obviously. Interesting to see if they want to get any matchups that they're looking for. So-called fourth line out for Minnesota, if you will, but they'll stay with the Arnott line for UMD.
Minnesota wins the draw again. They wrap it around the boards and out to center. Gallatin and Dubinsky. Ahead for Betchin. He can't get it deep in the Gopher zone. Outlet pass intercepted by UMD. Bouncing puck can't be controlled, and now Minnesota comes the other way. This is Nevers for Huglin. Tried to float one back to the middle of the ice for Nevers. Dealt with by UMD. Now a long shot is gloved and held by Guyon, and that will take us to a break. Minnesota still leading it 2-1 here on My 9 Sports. Back to Duluth, Amsoil Arena, 2-1 the score, 12:39 to go, middle period for UMD and Minnesota. Offensive zone draw for the Gophers out of that timeout. Long shot flutters wide of the goal. Now Kurth in a battle with Gallatin. Gallatin chips it up the near side boards and out to center. Battle for it there, goes to the far side where Matthew Wood controls. And Gruba tried to flip it to center. Bettens knocks it down but lost it again to Wood. Wood with some speed across the line. Backhand, forehand, a shot. Might have hit traffic in front, never got to Guyon, I don't think. Luke Middlestat, near side point. He absorbs a hit from Bettens, moves it to Wood. Now Clark. Gruba engages from the point. He's pushed into the boards by Gallatin on the far side, corner boards. Clark behind the net, this is Wood. He tries to center. Kurth, long shot, bouncing puck, still free. Far side of the crease, and now the near side corner it comes. Luke Middlestat has it for the Gophers. He walks in, gives it to Kurth. The redirect in on goal, guy on the save. Bulldogs need a clear desperately here. Luke Middlestat, another keep for Minnesota. Snuggerud bouncing puck, sharp angle. Good save by Guyon, and now the Bulldogs should be able to get it out. Bettens, though, is pinched on by Luke Middlestat. And now UMD just has to ice the puck. Good shift there for Minnesota. Adam Guyon holding strong for UMD. Face-off coming. Let's go down once more to Daniel.
That's right, Zach. I don't have to tell, long-term hockey fans, but the rivalry between the Bulldogs and Gophers is one of the longest tenured in college hockey. It's the 252nd all-time meeting between these two programs. Minnesota actually picked up their first win here in Duluth since 2011. It's a pretty impressive rivalry between the two teams, meaning the battle over the state of hockey is as strong as ever. Guys?
Minnesota wins the face-off. They continue the offensive pressure here midway through the second period. Behind the goal, Paulson feeds the point. Chesley walks to the middle, long shot. That was wide of the goal. Plenty of bodies in front to screen for Minnesota. Bettens gets it to center, but only as far as Thomas, who shoots it back in for Minnesota. The long change working against the Bulldogs right now. Snuggerud, he scores! Jimmy Snuggerud. The lead back at 2. It's 3-1.
Well, this was, you could sense this was coming, Zach, and here's the problem. UMD, before this, even this face-off, the whole shift leading up to it, they had the puck in the offensive zone. Kyle Bettens turns the puck over, goes back in, they get hemmed in. He has opportunities to get it out. They get hemmed in on icing. They can't change. He turns it over again, doesn't get it deep, and it's in their net. And I can tell you right now, we might not see 24 the rest of the night, judging from the reaction of Scott Sallin on the bench.
Jimmy Snuggerud, his first goal of the season. He scored 21 each of the past 2 years for Minnesota. Mentioned it last night. He's one of just 6 Gophers to have back-to-back 20-goal years since the year 2000. He's got some family roots at Minnesota. His father, his grandpa played for the Gophers. He makes it a 3-1 game midway through this second period, and UMD, again, in a 2-goal hole. We say it so often in these games, but the next goal, pivotal for UMD. Kester, down low, directed toward the front by Moore. It's cleared away by the UMD defense. Bouncing puck to the middle of the zone. It comes to the captain, Dominic James. Tried to feed Plant at the offensive line. Instead comes to Hansen. He tries to go indirectly. Moore across for Zemer. He toe drags, fires wide on the stick side. Kester has it at the point. Tried to give it to Renzel. He couldn't handle the pass. Gets it back. A drive tipped in front by Hendrickson. Wide of the goal. Bouncing puck in the slot is cleared to center by UMD.
Well, UMD's got to react a little bit here with some pushback. They're back in their own zone again, hemmed in. Somebody's got to make a difference here for this team, whether it's a physical play or a up-tempo type of play offensively, but something's got to change the pace of this game right now for UMD.
Shagabe floats a pass at the blue line for Smith as UMD changing. Past the midway point to period number 2. It had been pretty even until the last 3 or 4 minutes. Since then, it's been all Gophers. Pionk to the blue line, held by Minnesota. Pionk has it again for UMD.
Smart play there by 8. Pionk, instead of just forcing it back up the wall where UMD's having a lot of problems getting the puck out, he reversed the pressure, went D to D, and at least relieved the pressure and got it up the ice.
We tried to mention it in the first period. We were interrupted, but a good night last night for both the Pionk brothers.
Yeah, 4 points each. Neil in the NHL and Aaron here obviously had 4 assists. Neil with a goal and 3 assists. His first career NHL 4-point night, I believe. Not a bad night for the Pionk family.
8:45 to go as John Middlestat races across the UMD line. Whipple will float it in behind the UMD goal. Middlestat tries to center, bouncing puck. It comes to the point. Whipple to Wood in the corner. The pressure continues from Minnesota with 8.5 minutes to play. Kurth tried to feed Wood, who was tangled up with one of the UMD defensemen. And now right in front of the referee, Wood got an extra shot in. That was Pierce that he battled with. And the crowd is not going to like that, as right in front of the student section, it looked like Matthew Wood got an extra shot.
Yeah, and the referee's standing right over it. The two guys are going back and forth a little bit, but like you said, it's the extra one that goes uncalled, and that's what to the fans' dismay here, is you can hear their reaction, but puck then gets flipped out of play into the netting, and it'll bring the faceoff outside of the zone.
8:17 to go, 3-1 the score, and UMD, even more so than a goal, just needs to play in the offensive zone a bit. It's been a lot of us looking to our left here, Jed, in the second period.
Sure has, yep. They need to, again, get something to switch the momentum of this hockey game so far. Next goal's a huge one.
Minnesota controls off the neutral zone draw. Cal Thomas tried to sidestep James at the defensive line. Gets some help now from Plant and Shagave. Forces it into the zone. They still can't get it deep, and Minnesota turns it the other way. Paulson, 3-on-2 as they cross the line. Quick shot off the glove of Guyon. He's hit by one of the charging Gophers, back to his feet, and the puck to the near point, Thomas. Gallatin dumped one of the Gophers behind the goal, and that's going to be a penalty on UMD. And that is not a good penalty if you're Owen Gallatin.
Well, the goaltender, Guyon, gets kind of interfered with a little bit. That doesn't get called, and then Gallatin chases it down, and as the play develops and runs some interference in front of the net, you'll see here as this puck gets to the net. I think Gallatin comes in out of your screen. This is actually after the play, guys, but nonetheless, Minnesota heads to their second power play of the night. First one was abbreviated, that went 4-on-4.
1 for 3 with the man advantage last night were the Gophers, and they get a chance to stretch their lead to 3 midway through this second period. They control off the draw. Middlestat into the circle, defended by Loney. Now to the corner. Gets some help from Hansen. He gets it as far as Kester at the point. Kester again, long shot. That was blocked by the captain, Dominic James. Cleaver in the corner, wins the battle, and Loney will clear it ahead for James. Short-handed, he skates it to the Gopher zone. Minnesota through neutral. This is Kurth. Into the corner he goes. Luke Middlestat. To the point, Kester. Middlestat walks in. Tried to feed down low for Kurth. Gets it back. Kester. 45 seconds gone in the power play. Across from Middlestat. Walks in. Tried to pass across the crease. Clark couldn't get his stick free for Minnesota. Kurth to Kester. Across for Kurth. One-timer. Tried to shot pass again. That one hit Bulldogs' skates, still controlled by the Gophers. Middlestat walks in across for Kurth, fan on the one-timer. Kester, he walks in, long shot, and a glove save made by Adam Guyon for UMD.
Yeah, good job by Guyon to hang on to that puck as it found its way through. See a good look here of what Guyon's looking at here on this power play. You can see him, he kind of moves his head down and low to the left. We talked about that last night, of finding pucks, right? Identifying pucks. You can't just stand there and think you're going to see it. You got to get your body low and your eyes and head moving to find the opening.
Just one clear so far on the power play for UMD. 51 seconds still to go. Second unit out for Minnesota. The Dogs win the faceoff, and Kleber will get a clear, much needed for UMD. Big kill here midway through the second period for the Bulldogs. Mangini, the takeaway, shorthanded. He fires one in off the pad of Soulier. Crashing for the rebound was Fisher, but Soulier kicked it out past him. 30 seconds as Snuggerud, who got the latest Minnesota goal, enters the UMD zone. Back for Rinzel. Defended up high by UMD's Fisher. Now it's Snuggerud. Down low, gets it back in the corner. Rinzel across for Wood. Defended by Mangini and Hansen. Snuggerud, a long shot off the post. It caroms to Wood on the far side. Final 5 seconds of the power play. Rinzel walks in, a shot that was deflected wide of the goal. UMD survives the kill. We're back to 5-on-5. Lamb across, sent back toward the top of the crease area, and Kleber tries to move it up the boards. Gallatin, a bouncing puck. They still can't clear. Walking in, Rinzel. Try to pass across. Sprawling on the play, Gallatin. UMD hanging on for dear life, and the Bulldogs will ice the puck with 5:15 to go.
Wow, that was a big kill for UMD, and they were, like you said, fighting for dear life. They somehow need to do a better job of getting these pucks out when they have the opportunities on the walls. And you can see right there, Snugger does a nice job to look off that play. It looked like he was going to move it back across the ice to the weak side, but instead he rips it short side. It goes off the crossbar. Guyan couldn't see it, and UMD's going to take a timeout here.
3-1 the score, and it's been all Minnesota here in the second period. You mentioned Kyle Bettens by name earlier in the clear attempt that ended up in the back of the net, the Snuggerud goal, but really it's been a problem with a couple of Bulldogs tonight, not getting the puck over the blue line. They've been just a couple feet away, and that's led to some Minnesota chances.
Yeah, I mean, it's been all night, and I hate to pick on one player in particular. That was just the sequence of the last goal, but you got to find a way as a winger, especially when those pucks come up the wall. Your number one job is to A, protect it, make a play, and if you don't have a play, you got to just eat the puck on the wall and certainly not turn it over. You can't just throw it up to their defenseman or to the middle of the ice where the opposing forecheckers are coming from.
5:15 to go here in the second. It'll be a defensive zone draw for UMD. Adam Guyon has done his part again. He's made 21 saves. Kept it at a 3-1 game. And again, you're at a spot same as it was in the first period. If you get the next one, then you can start the conversation about what to do in the third. But this seems like a crossroads in the next 5 minutes for UMD. James will get chased from the circle in this defensive zone draw, so Plant will step in to draw against Moore for Minnesota. Into the corner it goes, dug free by Dubinsky. Up the wall, Shagabe out to center ice. He gets it to James, knocked off the puck by Zemer. Back the other way, Moore right through the middle. Hands off for Hendrickson, toe drag to the backhand, forehand, and he just missed the net. Shagabe will pick the puck up. The Bulldogs might have some numbers. James will chip it in. He's the first one there. It comes back to the half boards. Dubinsky behind the net. James feeds the point again. Dubinsky and boards. Shagabe couldn't control. Moore will pick it up for Minnesota and skate to center ice. Hendrickson blew a tire as he entered the zone. His pass down low picked off by Gallatin, who gets it ahead for Plant. Has Shagabe with him, 2-on-2. They're at the end of a shift and can't make much happen on that zone entry for UMD. Hughlin fights through the check of Arnott. Now defended by Pierce, who runs him into the boards. Pierce takes the puck away and moves it ahead for Betchin, who flips it into the Minnesota zone. Luke Middlestat up the near boards, out to center ice. Pierce has it there for UMD, across for Pionk. Ahead to Perkins. Off the boards and back to the other way is Minnesota. This is Hughlin. Defended by Pierce Dumps it in behind the UMD goal with 3:45 to go in the period. Better response for UMD out of that timeout by Scott Sandelin. Pierce across the red line. He'll dump it in for UMD. Nevers for Clark. He's stymied there by a couple Bulldogs. Molinar and Smith trying to dig it free along the far side half boards. Ruba to Middlestat. That's Luke, and now it comes to John as he'll skate to center ice. Cross ice pass, bouncing, and now sent deep in the UMD zone by the captain Nevers. Jack Smith for Hansen, who jumped up in the play. He'll gain the blue line, dump it in deep. The forecheck a bit delayed in the second period for UMD. I thought they were right on it in the first period. They were pressuring the Gophers on pucks, not so much here in the second period.
Well, and that might be by design, Zach, to be honest. It may be changed to more of a 1-2-2 or even like, you know, a 1-3 where you have that high guy, that protection, but you do have to certainly pressure the puck and get them to go up the wall, and then you can seal it. That's the key there.
Kurth tries to center. It was head high for Clark. Couldn't knock it down. UMD will clear the bouncing puck to center ice. Kester fights through the hit of Shagabe, gets the puck in deep for Minnesota. Kleber, he's hit by Wood. Those two have battled all weekend long. Two big bodies there as James takes a big hit at center ice right in front of the Minnesota bench. Thomas ahead for Rinzel. Kurth couldn't whack it in. Well, actually does help it deep in the corner. Dubinsky tries to wrap it around for Shagabe, who has it for UMD. Smith knocked away from him to the far side. He collides with Chesley, and Minnesota ends up with the puck on Snuggerud's stick. 1:45 to go here, second period. Jimmy Snuggerud, the only goal of the period so far. He snaps another one just wide on the stick side. Lamb has it now. Motors to the high slot area. Far circle. Fires one wide of the goal of Guyon. Pierce fights it up the wall, and a long shot from Thomas. Directed up out of play. We will take a break. 1:16 to go, second period. 3-1 Minnesota on My 9 Sports. UMD Stores has the largest selection of UMD gear here in the Northland. It's located on the UMD campus, open weekdays and weekends, or you can shop anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. Centering past Minnesota. Comes out to the blue line, held by Gruba. Middlestat gives it to Zemer. He's got all day to shoot. It's blocked by Pierce. That one stung Pierce, who still hasn't got back to his feet, and now will need to with 60 seconds to go in the period. He turns it over behind the goal. It goes around to the far side. Gruba holds the zone for Minnesota. Gallatin tries to flip it to center ice. Long change. Pierce is going to have to stay out there. Now he hobbles to the bench, and ahead it's Hendrickson. In the circle, walks in a shot, and Guyon makes the save for UMD.
Well, again, the inability of UMD to get the puck out of the zone. Another chance that Minnesota keeps the puck in, and they create opportunities off of that. Here's the end of this play. Everyone was at pretty much the end of a shift there. Hendrickson kind of throws a puck on net, an easy save for Guyan, but
Pierce down the tunnel for UMD after blocking that shot. We'll keep an eye on his availability as we head to the third period. Riley Bodnerchuk, the 7th dressed defenseman tonight for UMD. Haven't seen him out there yet, but he might be called into some more action as we go forward. Minnesota wins the faceoff. Rinzel, long shot. Guyon makes the save. 22.1 to go in the period.
Well, certainly UMD needs a face-off win here to alleviate this pressure with 22 on the clock, like you said, Zach. Last thing they want to do here is give up a goal in the last 20 seconds of this period. 26-20 shots on goal right now for Minnesota.
Hughlin off the draw, controls in the corner, defended by James. He fell down. Kester at the point. Around behind the goal. Hansen will pick it up. Final 10 seconds. He'll get it out to center ice. And the period will come to a close. Jimmy Snuggerud, the only goal of the second, and Minnesota extends its lead 3-1. The Gophers lead the Bulldogs as we head to the second intermission. We'll take a break. The Super One Foods intermission report starts right after this on My 9 Sports. Minnesota adds another goal in that second period, and as well as UMD played, we thought in that opening period, Minnesota really turned the heat up in that second. It was mostly Gophers that we were talking about in the middle frame.
Yeah, they outshot UMD 12-5 in that period, that middle frame. So, again, they just continue to roll. Played a pretty smart game. UMD really didn't get much offensively going that period, and Minnesota with the lone goal and the Snuggerud tally again protected and separated his lead at a 3-1 score as we stand right now.
Again, comparing it to last night, this 2-goal lead feels much more attainable for UMD as you head to the final 20 minutes. What's the key for the Bulldogs?
Well, they got it. First of all, they can't turn the puck over anymore. They're having a hard time getting out of their zone, and when they do get up the ice, Minnesota's just putting that pressure in the neutral zone, and they're pouncing on that transition, and it's resulted in a couple goals tonight. 2 out of the 3 came off neutral zone turnovers, and it goes back the other way. So certainly that you got to clean up your exits and your entries into the zone. And secondly, you got to generate some offense once you do get in there by getting some bodies to the net. Simple plays, moving low to high, walking the line, get pucks to the net in traffic, and guys looking at banging rebounds.
We saw 7 goals in the third period last night. What will the final 20 minutes bring for us tonight? We'll find out, but for now, we'll take a break, and the Super One Foods intermission report continues right after this on My 9 Sports.
Welcome back to Bulldogs hockey. The Bulldogs trailing 3-1 heading into the third period. I'm joined now by Callum Arnott. Callum, what's it going to take in the final 20 minutes to tie this game up and hopefully get the win?
Yeah, I think we just got to throw stuff at the net, throw everything there, just stay on top of them and keep reloading on them.
And then what has Minnesota's defense been able to do successfully against you guys to kind of prevent those high-end scoring chances?
Yeah, obviously they're very skilled back end, but I think if we just keep the pressure on, keep throwing things at the net, something will go in.
And then you guys can draw from yesterday's game where you were able to string a couple goals together in the third period. How do you kind of bottle that energy from yesterday, bring it into this third period?
Yeah, kind of just like forget everything that happened yesterday except that little bit of time and bring it in today.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Callum. Good luck in the third.
Yeah, thank you.
Callum Arnott there, Bulldogs trailing 3-1 heading into the third period. We'll be right back on the My 9 Sports Network. And welcome back to Bulldogs hockey right here on My 9 Sports Network. The Bulldogs trail the Gophers 3-1 heading into the third period. But right now I'm joined by a very special guest, the Chancellor of UMD, Chancellor Neese. Welcome to Bulldog Country.
Hey, thanks for having me, Daniel. So excited to be here.
Yeah, just tell me about your experience so far here in Amsoil Arena. A great game going on.
It's a great game, right? 2 great teams, and the opportunity for us to really watch the athleticism that's happening on the ice has been fantastic. And, of course, I'm cheering for the Bulldogs as we continue to fight and move forward here in the game, but it's been a super exciting day so far.
And then just doing a little bit of research on you. I know you're born and raised in Minnesota, so I'm sure you played hockey growing up, correct?
Well, I didn't play hockey growing up, but I did skate growing up.
Okay.
But I did grow up here in Minnesota, but I spent the last 18 years in California. Not a lot of ice in California, so I'm getting reintroduced to the world of hockey and all of that it has to offer, but it's been exciting.
That's awesome. And as a Florida guy myself, I got to ask, are you ready for the Minnesota winters again?
Yeah, that's a great question. So far, we've had this wonderful fall, and I think the weather's been nice to me. As I said, grew up in Minnesota, so I think I'm ready, but my blood might be a little thin from the past 18 years in California, but you know, the community has been so warm and friendly and welcoming, the university and the things that we're doing there. It's been super exciting. So I think that all of that will help me get through the cold, and I'm ready for that.
For sure. And how awesome is it to see the student section filled, you know, on a Friday and a Saturday, and just, you know, how the sport of hockey and really all of Bulldogs athletics brings the community of Duluth here together.
Well, it was wonderfully exciting. Last night I was able to lead the students in the wave. Tonight I walked down there to say hi to them, and they gave me a flag and had me run up and down with the flag. So I think the energy that they bring and the space that they are able to be in here at Amsoil Arena really allows us to have that kind of third part advantage, right, of the game. And so we're super excited that the fans have showed up and are supporting our athletics in this way. Our student athletes do amazing work both on and off the field. And so to have their classmates recognize that by coming out and supporting them is super exciting.
And then you're the man to ask. I know the hockey team, you asked them, they play Bulldog hockey. So to you, what does it mean to be a Bulldog?
What does it mean to be a Bulldog? I think part of what it means is that kind of that sense of discovery, that intrepid spirit that's going on there, to want to continue to learn, to take part of what is all here in Duluth. I say that, the University of Minnesota Duluth is not just in Duluth, but we are part of Duluth. And being a Bulldog means that we embrace that whole spirit and that we really engage our community, but also that sense of learning and that discovery that is part of our institution.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate the time, appreciate you joining us, and have some fun in the third period. Hopefully the Bulldogs pull off the win.
Will do. Thanks so much, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more Bulldogs hockey in the third period coming up right here on the My9 Sports Network.
Welcome back here to Amsoil Arena. Third period about to get underway between UMD and Minnesota. The Gophers lead the Bulldogs 3-1 through 40 minutes, out shooting UMD 26-20. Neither team with a power play goal. Jimmy Snuggerud, the only goal of that second period to stake Minnesota a 2-goal advantage as we head into the third. Mentioned earlier in the intermission, last night the third period was a wild ride, Judd. We'll see what the third period tonight has in store.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, after the first period when UMD got that late goal to cut the lead 2-1, things were going okay for them in the second, and then they give up that goal, and you just kind of feel like Minnesota's got the momentum back now. We take a look at some of these highlights, but obviously it's a fresh 20-minute period here, and UMD needs to have a great first couple of shifts to hopefully gain some sort of momentum back.
Teams are back on the ice ahead of the third period, and we will send it down to Daniel, who's joined by UMD Associate Head Coach Adam Kraus.
Thanks, Zach. Coach, you guys were able to find the offense in the third period last night. What's it going to take to score 2 and hopefully get the win here tonight?
Well, just stick with it, play a simple game. We're not going to come back to the first 5 minutes, so do the things that got us successful, get behind the B, and go to work.
And then what have you seen from your 6 defensemen in this game tonight? They've been all over the ice, one of them scoring a goal, Owen Gallatin. Just what have you seen from that group?
Yeah, I mean, they've been challenged tremendously this weekend against a really good Gopher team. And, they've been impressive on the back end. And, again, they'll be challenged in the third, so we just got to stick with it.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Good luck in the third. Yep. Zach?
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate the time of the UMD coaching staff this weekend. Here we go, third period between the Bulldogs and the Gophers. Thanks for being with us on My9 Sports, Fox 9 in the Twin Cities, NCHC TV. Wherever you are, we appreciate you spending your Saturday night with us. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic here in Duluth. The puck out of play. We'll bring an early face-off in the offensive zone for UMD.
Well, Adam Kraus says you can't win the game in the first 5 minutes, which is true, but you could certainly probably lose it in the first 5 minutes if they give one up here. It's 3-1 obviously, so they give up that another one, and that's pretty much a backbreaker. So again, UMD needs to start off this period on the right foot.
Looking for positive takeaways from last night. The Bulldogs didn't pack it in. They were down 4-0. They were down 4 again. That's 7-3 late in the third period. Scored a couple more to make it a 7-5 game. So certainly this team showing more signs of that pushback, that compete that Scott Sandlin so often talks about. We'll see what they can do down by 2 to start this third period. Shipped out to center ice by Minnesota. Back to Chase's Pierce. Good to see him back for the Bulldogs after he left after blocking a shot late in that second period. He skates to center, tried to go rink wide, telegraphed that one, and Clark picks it off for Minnesota.
Well, again, the smart play there is to probably just put the puck in space in the offensive zone where you can get a forecheck going instead of turning it over at that blue line like they've done a lot tonight and gotten themselves in some trouble.
In the corner, it's Loney. Feeds the point, Gallatin. Across to Binsky. He fires one wide of the goal. Gallatin will engage from the point. Good pinch there. Loney has it for UMD. Behind the goal, Molinar stops the other direction. Wants to center. Instead comes to the point. Gallatin off the end boards. Tries the indirect pass. It's free. Top of the crease. Loney fighting with Chesley for it. And Solier covers up for Minnesota.
Yeah, much better shift there. Again, they get the puck deep into the zone on a little soft cross-corner dump. And they're able to establish the forecheck, turn the puck over, get it up to their D, and just throw it on net and cause some traffic for Solier, who's pretty much seen everything tonight so far.
Offensive zone faceoff coming here for the Bulldogs. Just over 60 seconds gone in this third period. We've liked this line tonight for UMD. Jack Smith between Joe Molinar and Carter Loney.
Well, it's kind of that energy line for Scott Sandlin. Good opportunity here for these guys to keep the puck in the zone and build off of that last shift.
Smith will get kicked out of the draw here for UMD. Loney steps in. Kind of the opposite for the Bulldogs from last year's team. They've got a lot of depth at the center position this year. As now Minnesota's Paulson will get chased, and Loney will draw against Lamb. He wins it back to Gallatin. The rebound from Solier, and Smith was on the doorstep. Solier made a good save for Minnesota. Now a 2-on-1 the other way. Paulson has Lamb with him. Paulson off the shoulder of Guyon. And just like that, we're off to the races in the third period.
Good play by Loney there to keep Rinzel in front of him. He tried another little toe pull and dragged to the middle of the ice, but Loney stayed with him, stayed square. And was able to get that puck out.
Sam Rinzel, an impressive defenseman, Chicago Blackhawks draft pick. And now a pickoff from Zemer. Almost led to a chance for Minnesota. Rinzel, all Big Ten second team last year. 28 points, the most by a Minnesota freshman defenseman since the 1990s. Which I couldn't believe really when I read it, but checks out.
Well, something tells me that might have been Jordan Leopold or Paul Martin maybe in 99. I'm not sure he was there yet, but certainly Jordan Leopold.
Good trivia question for you. Face-off coming in the UMD zone. Let's go down between the benches to Daniel.
That's right, Zach. Over the course of this weekend series, a lot of the offense for the Bulldogs has come from their defensemen. In last night's game, defenseman Aiden Dubinsky scoring twice, Aaron Pionk picking up 4 assists, and then the only goal in tonight's game, another defenseman, Owen Gallatin. Look for, as the clock ticks down, those defensemen continue to creep up into the play, make good pinches while the Bulldogs are in the zone, hopefully get one on the board. Guys?
Yeah, well, good pinches is the key and operative word there, because last night we talked about it, Judd, as you get later in the game and you're trailing, sometimes the 50-50 pucks are okay to take a chance on. 80-20, maybe not so much.
Oh, absolutely, and even 50-50. I mean, yeah, if you're down 2, probably okay to go, but how about more like if you're up 60-40, you got a better opportunity, then you can go. But if not a good idea to go at this point.
Got to pick your moments still, especially against a team as offensively gifted as Minnesota. Moore will skate it to center ice and dump it in. One of the Gophers was shaken up on that last shift. It might have been Whipple, as he's talking to, I think, the trainers on the bench, but looks okay. Keep an eye on his availability. Minnesota controls in that far side corner. It comes now to Gruba at the point. Long shot. It was knocked away by the stick of Braden Fisher for UMD. Middlestat. Forecheck by Fisher. Controls the puck through the check. Gruba out to center ice. Huglin at the line, far side. Long shot. Guyon makes the glove save for UMD.
Wow, we hadn't seen this fourth line for UMD since that second period when they were on the ice for the Snuggerud goal. They get an opportunity here early in the third. They come out, and key for them with Bettens, Fisher, and Gini is to get some sort of forecheck going and play with a little bit of energy and maybe cause a turnover and just get pucks to the net.
Bulldogs win the defensive draw. Shagabe tries to float one in the middle to James. It comes in on Solier, who moves the puck to the near side boards. Wood off the half wall. Shagabe intercepts and holds the zone for UMD. Rinzel can't clear. James holds that one, and now the puck bounces out to center ice. Wood tries to jam it in deep to the UMD zone. James the other way. He's taken down by Rinzel, and that'll be a penalty on Minnesota. UMD to the power play 4 minutes into this third period.
Well, again, Puck gets in deep. James keeps his feet moving along the wall. You can see him churning his legs. Renzel doesn't like it, but there's no doubt about this call here as James is trying to get into on the forecheck, and Renzel just pins him up, and he's moving his feet. He's doing everything right. You'll see here right on the boards here, good angle here from our crew, but Renzel just holds him up. His feet are stationary, and he's pinning him against the wall for longer than maybe a 1 second count. Anytime you do that, it's going to get called.
Minnesota power play for UMD. They're 4th of the game, and a big spot for the Bulldogs as they try to mount a comeback here in the 3rd period. Early clear for Minnesota. Ty Hansen, the Hermantown native, will start the charge for UMD. Turns the puck over to Huelgen, walks in and missed high on the glove side. Hansen and the 2 drop guys, Betchen and Perkins, just disconnected in UMD's defensive zone. They'll try once more.
Well, that's obviously a set play. You practice this all week long, and something went wrong there initially, but they figured it out in the second attempt on a breakout.
This is the second unit out there for UMD, or at least what we would call the second unit. By the way it looks, and Minnesota gets the takeaway and a clear with 1:15 to go as the top power play guys will hop over for UMD with just over 60 seconds to go. Plant with some speed through neutral. He shoots it into the far side corner. Pionk holds at the point, gets it to Plant. James, top of the circle. He walks in. Gallatin. James wants it behind the goal, gets it to Plant at the far side. 45 seconds to go on the man advantage for UMD. Plant to James, works his way high in the zone. Gives it to Gallatin at the dot. Back to Pionk, skates a stick, long shot. Blocked in front and cleared by Minnesota.
Right idea there as Gallatin rolled downhill and then threw it back against the pressure to Pionk, and the pass was just a little bit off there, but Pionk did a nice job to gather it and get a good shot on goal low on the ice.
Another clear here by the Gophers. 15 seconds left in the power play. That should just about do it as Guyon has the puck behind the goal. He'll hand off to Pionk. Time for one last rush maybe for UMD on this power play. Plant ahead at the line. Smith shoots it behind the goal of Soulier. We're back to 5-on-5. Renzel is released. Dubinsky holds. Long shot. Tipped in front. Fought off by Soulier. The rebound fought at the near side.
Great reaction save there by Soulier. Maybe his best of the night as that changed direction right in front of him, but he stayed with it and just got his glove on it. Remember that one, Zach.
Loney has it now at center ice. Surrounded by a trio of Gophers. He chips it in. Kester leaves for Chesley. Now Pierce will step down from the point. It comes back high in the zone. Loney has it along the near boards for UMD. Long shot is fighting in front was Chesley and Molinar. The net's off its moorings, and Chesley will go for high sticking UMD back to the power play for the 5th time tonight.
Well, not a good penalty. We'll maybe see if we can catch a glimpse of this one. It was behind the play. Great shift by that line, and once again for UMD, Loney, Smith, and Molinar, they get it on the forecheck, they cause a turnover, get to the net, and that's where this penalty happens, right in front of the net on Chesley.
Well, you can't ask for a better opportunity if you're UMD. Back-to-back power plays midway through the 3rd. The top unit will start. James to draw against Clark. James wins it. Pionk moves to the middle. Gives to Gallatin in the circle. Shagabe. Gallatin. Minnesota power play. The 5th of the game for UMD. Pionk to Plant. Pionk middle point. Plant. Pionk. Plant again. Walks in. Down low, James. Those two switch spots. Pionk. Gallatin. Tried to go back to Pionk. Disrupted by Nevers. It comes to Gallatin at the half boards. Across for James. Couldn't handle it cleanly on the backhand and then just throws it away as he tried to feed Pionk at the point.
Yeah, I'm not sure why James rushed that play. He had all the time in the world. He just needed to settle it down there, but good play there by Soulier.
Soulier gets to clear himself. The transfer goaltender from Penn State on this Minnesota team. We saw Nathan Airy last night. Soulier has been solid. Now Pionk knifes his way through. Off the post for UMD. Play continues as the Bulldogs hold on the near point. Perkins, he wraps it around, and no one's going to be home for UMD. Pionk is changing, so Betchin has to race back for the Bulldogs.
Well, the parting of the Red Seas there is Pionk. He's coming up the ice with it, and he's waiting to distribute it, and all of a sudden, the D kind of tail off, and he's got the middle wide open.
Now Hansen trying to do the same thing for UMD. And another clear. No, it's held at the point by Perkins.
That's the second time Perkins needs to make a better play there. The puck stays in, but unable to execute off of that.
Luke Middlestat moves it up to the far side, clears as far as the UMD line. Hansen ahead for Dubinsky. Final 15 seconds of the UMD power play. Coulier moves it to the corner. Another clear by Minnesota. Back-to-back kills for these Gophers. Well, hold on. Mangini fumbles the puck a bit as the final seconds tick away on the Chesley Minor. We're back to 5-on-5. Back-to-back penalty kills for Minnesota as they protect a 2-goal lead. Through neutral ice, John Middlestat. Long shot off the end boards. Carry him dangerously to the far side, but Loney there to collect for UMD. Pierce works his way through center. Dumps it in. Kester back to retrieve off the glass and out to center ice. Lamb has Paulson with him. They're in ahead of the play, and we will step aside. 3-1 Minnesota leads UMD midway through the third on My 9 Sports. The very best Bulldog fan gear is at UMD stores. Stop in soon for the newest tees, sweatshirts, caps, gifts, and much more. Shop the campus store on Kirby Drive or online anytime, anywhere at umdstores.com. Approaching the halfway mark here of period number 3. 2 power plays without a goal for the Bulldogs, as they still trail by a pair. 3-1 the score. Kleber to the far side. Molinar, he had a goal last night. Tried to go across the zone. Hansen steps up, doesn't fire. Instead tried to feed Kleber, and he couldn't collect cleanly. Now it's Paulson the other way for Minnesota. Kleber flips it to the Minnesota side of the ice. Wholesale line change here for UMD. Minnesota also changing. We'll get the rest of the skaters off now as we pass the 10-minute mark of this third period.
Well, you've seen a very passive Minnesota team this period, just sending one guy deep and almost setting up almost a trap type 1-3 forecheck, and they're not going to take any chances here as trying to hem UMD into their zone.
Bettens, Perkins, and Arnott out there together on this forward grouping for UMD as Scott Sandlin still searches for some combinations that work, as Wood directed wide of the goal by Dubinsky. Kurth has it, now feeds Clark. Wood tried the one-timer off the heel of his stick. Whipple has it at the far side for Minnesota. Clark tries to go to the point. Perkins picks that off and skates to center. He's at the end of his shift, and again, 5 new skaters on the ice for UMD with 9 minutes to go. Wave off this icing. Pionk forced to play it. Zemer forechecking him. It's poked to center ice, and now here comes UMD. Fisher out of the reach of Mangini on the far side. Back to center ice it comes. Poked away from Pierce. Moore has Hendrickson with him. Sprawling play defensively by Aaron Pionk for UMD.
Yeah, great puck support too on the secondary from UMD, and then they are able to get the puck up the ice quickly. Pionk makes a great sliding play, and they have support to actually pick the puck up and go the other way.
Zemer gains the red line, dumps it in for Minnesota. And a penalty coming to UMD as Mangini dumps Zemer after that dump attempt. And Minnesota will go to the power play. Tonight's save of the game brought to you by Super One Foods. Not often you could say a goalie who's allowed 10 goals on the weekend has played pretty well, but it's exactly the story with Adam Guyon. Could have been a whole heck of a lot worse if not for the Slovakian freshman for UMD.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been really solid. I mean, going over the goals we've seen Minnesota score this weekend, can you really blame Guyon for any of them? Probably not. I mean, he's like to have him back, but he's been steady. It could have been a lot worse, seeing almost 50 shots on goal last night.
Big penalty kill here for the home team. A chance for Minnesota to put the proverbial dagger in UMD with 8 minutes to go. Their third power play of the game. This is Paulson across the blue line. He dumps it in. He and Kleber go to the far corner boards. UMD successfully kills this. It'll bring it to about 6 minutes left in regulation. Still need 2 goals to the Bulldogs. Wood across for Snuggerud. He can't go skate to stick. Now a 2-on-1 shorthanded. Loney has James with him. Loney for UMD walks right in. A shot saved by Soulier. James gets it back. Can't get past Sam Rinzel from Minnesota. Rinzel to Snuggerud. He navigates the UMD zone into the circle. He goes. His shot blocked by Pierce. To the point, it's Rinzel. 1 minute gone, 1 minute to go in this Minnesota power play. Snuggerud to the bumper, Paulson. Rinzel across for Wood. Rinzel, a drive, save, Guyon directs to the far corner. Snuggerud picks it up there for the Gophers. He's forced back out to center ice by UMD's Pierce. And now James muscles him off the puck. Long shift for both that penalty kill and power play unit. Minute and a half for each, really.
Well, great job by UMD penalty kill. Great stick there, forcing Snuggerud up the wall there, fumbling that puck out of the zone, and then they're able to get a clear.
6.5 minutes to go in the period. Final 15 seconds of the Minnesota power play. Kester across for Moore. He walks in. Nice pass across. What passing! And Jimmy Clark finishes it. A power play goal. It's 4-1 Minnesota.
Well, that's an unbelievable executed power play there. Connor Kurth on the back door. He's got a goal tonight. And what a beautiful play this was as it goes across to him, and he just bumps it right back against the flow for an easy tap-in goal. But right there, number 10, Kurth, he just one-touches it back, and that's a great executed power play goal there.
Back-breaking goal for the Bulldogs, just seconds away from getting back to even strength. The lead is now 4-1 with just over 6 minutes to go here in the third period. It would take a Herculean effort now for the Bulldogs. We did see some fireworks late in the third period last night. We'll see what the Bulldogs have in the tank here on Saturday as Thomas collects behind his own goal. He's got it back now, moves it out to center ice. Arnott was trying to change. Pierce instead will pick it up in the Bulldog zone. Pionk. Fisher at the blue line, and Soulier will put a glove to that. We will step aside. Jimmy Clark, the Minnesota Wild draft pick, has Minnesota up 4-1 on My9 Sports. 5:30 to go here in the third period. A 3-goal lead for Minnesota. Empty net for UMD in the offensive zone faceoff. 6-on-5. Gallatin has it at the point. Pionk. Long shot. Soulier makes the save through some traffic for Minnesota.
Yeah, really goaltender hold here by Scott Sandlin. Kind of seeing this a lot more and more in hockey these days, and they'll look at the data on that. Your odds are higher to score a goal 6-on-5 than it is to give one up, so they'll take their chance here with 5:19 on the clock still. And nothing to lose, I guess, if you're down at 3 at this point, right?
They won the first face-off with the goalie pulled. They lose this one. Rinzel will skate and go off the glass out to center ice. 2-on-1, and Wood at the empty net. Matthew Wood, the exclamation point on a great weekend for Minnesota. They appear headed for a sweep.
That looked offside to me, to be honest, Zach. I wonder if Scott Sandlin, he's thinking the same thing. I can see him talking to the linesman. It was very, very close, that's for sure. I'm not sure we'll get a better look here. Here's the chip, Rinzel. Let's see where this puck bounces. I mean, Wood looked, it's hard to tell from that screen, but he's quite far ahead of that. You see it right here. It's can't see it once again, but that's what Sandlin's not happy about right now.
Matthew Wood with his second goal of the weekend, third of his career in a Gophers uniform. The transfer from UConn, 5-1 Minnesota, and the Gophers from start to finish really look like the better hockey team this weekend, and they will walk out of Amsoil Arena with 2 big wins early in the season for this team that a lot of people were picking to be in St. Louis for the Frozen Four. You mentioned that they were picked 3rd in the Big Ten preseason poll. I haven't watched all the Big Ten teams, but boy, these guys look pretty good.
They do. That's a head scratcher there, but they got to learn to close the deal. Obviously, they've had these powerhouse teams a lot in the last 10 years, and they've been unable to finish it. So once again, it's about doing the little things, and we know they can score goals, but as UMD fans know, it takes more than just scoring goals. It's the intangibles and the goaltending and all those things that add up to championships, as UMD has done 3 times in the modern era.
Yeah, based on this one weekend in October, we'll call the Gophers at least one team to watch as the season moves forward. Snuggerud fires one. Good save by Guyon as he directs it to the far corner. Inside of 4 minutes to go. And a lot to learn from this series for a young UMD team, as they are still early in this season, but appear headed for a 1-4 record. And NCHC play starting in just a couple weeks. It's not going to get any easier for the Bulldogs.
No, it's the best league in college hockey, top to bottom. So these guys will certainly have to be ready to go to battle every weekend once league play starts. And this weekend, a good test, not the result they wanted, but a good taste of what's to come.
It came from everywhere for Minnesota as well. 7 different goal scorers in the game last night, 5 different goal scorers in the game tonight. It really wasn't one guy or one line, really just top to bottom. They were all over UMD from the word go.
Yeah, they come at you from all sorts of angles, obviously, top to bottom. When you've got 9 of your 12 forwards NHL draft picks, it says a lot about what you're dealing with. And
we will be back on the air next weekend, Friday, Saturday series, another non-conference one against Stonehill, one of the newer Division I programs on the men's side. They will be here at Amsoil Arena for the first time ever, as the Bulldogs will get a couple more games at home. We'll be with you Friday, Saturday night here on My 9 Sports. Hope you can join us then. 2:30 to go. Kurth and Gallatin behind the goal of UMD's Guyon. Pionk chases it now for UMD. Plant and Kurth into the near side boards. Kurth comes away with it. Gallatin gets some assistance and will go off the glass out to center ice.
Well, Kurth's got 3 points, a goal and 2 assists tonight. He's certainly stood out for me.
He was part of both of those really pretty tic-tac-toe passing plays for the Gophers. Zemer, a long shot, guy on the save. Defensive zone draw coming up for UMD with 1:43 to go. And some soul searching for this UMD team might be required before next weekend series against Stonehill. Lots of excitement about this year's group, but through 5 games, which is awfully early to judge a team, they're just yet to put the puzzle pieces quite together. Long shot from Molinar is blocked by Minnesota. 90 seconds to play. Takeaway for UMD to the front of the crease, and that was Molinar for UMD. Soulier the save for Minnesota.
29 shots on goal. Soulier, we haven't had to, see much. I mean, he's made the saves he's needed to make tonight, obviously, only giving up 1 goal. He's been solid. He's made a couple of big ones. Maybe more bigger saves tonight than what we saw from Erie last night, but they've got a goaltender, it seems like, in this transfer from Penn State and Soulier.
Yeah, there were a couple when it was a 1 or even a 2-goal game that could have made a difference as Bettens tries to spin one in on net. He gets the rebound, and that one never got to Soulier. The third attempt is knocked up over the glass, out of play.
Well, there's going to be a lot of happy Gopher fans roaming the streets of Duluth tonight in Canal Park and flooding the establishments. And obviously it's been 12 years since we've seen a series in one team's building for both nights. And
Mangini spins and fires one on goal. Soulier another save. It's funny how hockey works sometimes. I thought Minnesota far and away the better team last night and the 7-5 score line. I thought UMD much better tonight, and it's going to end up probably 5-1. Tonight will look worse on the score sheet when I thought it was a much closer, better hockey game.
Yeah, it was. UMD, I mean, they played better tonight, but still a lot of blemishes, a lot of imperfections that they need to work through. And it's just hard when you're chasing the game from the get-go, and they get down in the first period 2-0, and talked about the importance of having a good start tonight. It was a better start, but still find yourself down 2-0. They're lucky they got that one at the end of the first period, but it was really never even a game.
Pierce in the closing seconds, his shot directed to the far corner. Minnesota 5-1 winners here on Saturday night. The Gophers sweep the Bulldogs in Duluth. They look every bit the part of a Frozen Four contender. We will take a break, bring you back to wrap things up from Amsoil Arena here on My 9 Sports. 5-1 is the final. Minnesota completes the sweep here in Duluth over UMD. We talked about it, maybe some steps forward from last night's game, but still a lot of questions left to be answered for this UMD team.
Yeah, not a great weekend overall, and I know that sure you get swept, you're 0-2, but a lot of inconsistent play, most importantly, and that's kind of what I know this coaching staff and Scott Sandlin really want to look to is how did we play? How did we actually play? Throw the wins and losses out, and really it wasn't it was good at times, but like you said, Zach, a lot to work on, absolutely.
On the ice right now, Daniel Chiarelli is joined by UMD associate head coach Adam Krause.
Thanks, Zach. Coach, tough weekend for the Bulldogs. What's your biggest takeaway from the 2 games against the Gophers this weekend?
Set an expectation what we want to get to as a team. That's one of the best teams in college hockey, and kind of what this group is going to be striving for. So, it sets the standard, and the guys now know what it looks like.
And then a lot of freshmen on this team. This is their first kind of big-time series here at home. What do you think they took out of it, seeing a team like Minnesota come into Duluth and take both wins?
Well, it's a great learning experience to see what it takes if you want to be the top of college hockey. And like you said, it was the first time some of these guys saw a team like that, and so it's a great learning experience in our young season with our young group, but we'll take the things and we'll learn from it and get better.
And what do you think about your team's compete level tonight? Last game, the first period was one to forget for you guys. So to come out with the energy, just what do you think about that compete?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was much better tonight than it was last night, and we had pushback. The game didn't get away from us until the end, so happy with that. But obviously the expectations high at this program, and we want to get to a point where we're pushing harder.
You guys have another series here at home next weekend. What's the main focus for you guys in practice this week?
Just get better. Use this weekend as motivation for our week, and we want it to hurt for our guys this week.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you very much. Zach?
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate the time from UMD's Adam Krause. We're going to take a break, bring you back for more. We'll wrap things up here from Amsoil Arena. Minnesota 5-1 winners tonight on Saturday to complete the sweep. More after this in My 9 Sports. 5-1 the final here on Saturday night. Minnesota gets the sweep over UMD here at Amsoil Arena. Welcome back. Zach Schneider, Judd Medic here with you in Duluth. And certainly as you move forward, they said going into this series that Minnesota, this series was going to be a good measuring stick for a young UMD team. Well, Adam Krause said it. Now we know where we stand. We know where we want to get to. What are the things that you expect to see from this Bulldogs team moving forward?
Well, I think it all starts with just the compete level right off the bat.
set higher, and that's what Adam talked about, showing up every night ready to work. And the second thing, obviously, is execution and being hard to play. That's a big one, too. Minnesota just kind of dominated from the drop of the puck.
Both nights, and that needs to be done better.
Yeah, as you look forward, they've got a series next weekend against Stonehill. They get a weekend off, and then they start NCHC play. I said it doesn't get any easier. They start off conference play with North Dakota. It's at home, but certainly as we get into league play, this is a team that will be tested every Friday and Saturday from here until March.
Yeah, no question about it. They have another non-conference, obviously, next weekend, and then the real games will start up later on, like you said. But I mean, you look at North Dakota, Denver, all these teams that are going to be these opponents of the Bulldogs. It's you got to be battle tested, and we've been on the top end of these in the last few years, spoiled as UMD fans. It's a bit, I don't want to say a rebuilding time, but the future certainly is bright, and they have a lot of good players. One of the best recruiting classes in the country. So there's a lot to be thankful and hopeful for, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, 1-4. It doesn't look great on the record right now, but you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, with the young group. They've got the seventh youngest roster in college hockey. Some of these guys obviously are playing big, meaningful minutes, and they're welcome to college hockey, and they're playing this weekend against a really talented Minnesota team.
Well, you look at kind of their top players, or who we thought stood out for UMD, and most of them were the freshmen. The defensemen with Hansen and Kleber obviously were fantastic. And up front, we've mentioned a lot of guys. Arnott played well. Shagabe, Plants. All the names that we've kind of spoke about all season leading up to this point. But at some point here, you got to have your secondary, your leadership come through and be a little bit better. Cardelloni played really well tonight. He's one of your guys you need to look to kind of have that spark. Jack Smith was much better tonight than he was last night, so certainly some positives.
Yeah, hopefully better days ahead for this UMD team, but for now, a 5-1 loss tonight, a sweep this weekend at the hands of their in-state rival, Minnesota. For now, thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. For Judd, Daniel, our director, Dylan Field, our producer, Tom Hansen, everybody here at My9 Sports and Bulldog Productions, thank you for watching. Thank you to our sponsors, Essentia Health and Kohler Chevrolet Buick GMC, for their continued support of these broadcasts all season long. Minnesota spoils the party this weekend, 7-5 last night, 5-1 tonight. The Gophers get the sweep. Until next time, hockey fans, be well.
Sorry, that was my fault. That was my